Welcome back to PH.d TV, and today we'll be going over Issey Homme Intense by Issey Miyake. As always, we'll start out with the box. Very nice, pretty sizable box, but you'll see why the bottle is pretty tall itself. Right here's the labeling in the font of Issey Homme Intense, and as I said, it is from the house of Issey Miyake. And in terms of the box, not much else going on the sides, and just a little information at the bottom about the batch number and things like that. As I said, pretty straightforward box. And now onto the bottle. I have to hold this way back here because the bottle's so big. So you see it, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the cap off just so we can put the rest of the bottle in frame so you can see it better. I will go ahead and tell you the cap is very snug and hard to get off. Ugh. Now, in terms of presentation, I think this is one clean, nice type of bottle. Very easy for packing, very slender, very easy just to throw in sideways, you know, put it in like that. And there's the labeling, Issey Homme Intense. And down low, as you might be able to see, Issey Miyake, ounce and batch code. And I don't know if you can see there, you might, it is going to be a 4.2 ounce that we're going over today. It does have a very solid atomizer. It does more of a mist than a directional type thing, but smells great. So first and foremost, this is gonna be a very balsamic heavy fragrance. Yeah, and all that balsamic vibe to it. I don't believe it's classified as an oriental fragrance, but I wanna say it might be with how much of a sweet, dark seductiveness there is to it. Very sensual. I do see this instantly to be, you know, if I had to imagine a guy wearing this, he'd have to be wearing a suit, or at least it has to be a formal type of event, something where at least a polo has to be tucked in. This is definitely not a casual scent. I will tell you right up front, not a casual scent. Granted, you can wear your fragrances how you wish to, but if I'm gonna classify this as a certain way, like many fragrance YouTubers do, this is definitely going to be a more dinner jacket, suit, polo tucked in type appearance. Right offhand, yeah, it's definitely a formal fragrance. Something that I do like about this is that it is a very spicy fragrance. Let me back that up, it's not very spicy. In the opening it is, but once it dries down, it's not that spicy at all. But they do balance that fresh spice as well as the warm spice. So it is a fresh smell where you can just really work it with most of those nicer occasions, but also that it thrives in the wintertime setting. Maybe fall primarily. I could see this being an incredible fall scent above all, in my opinion. But right underneath that balsamic vibe, there is a nice citrus, something that again keeps it fresh, but also that warm spice backs that fresh down to a very cool weather type fragrance. Therefore, I'm gonna say this was almost tailor-made for the fall, springtime area. Primarily probably fall if I had to really just say it. But that's not to say you can't use this in summer. There's enough fresh citrus in here to really kind of make it an all-season worthy thing. And of course, as I said, but I do believe that this is gonna have a high likability factor. And I'm just gonna go on a whim. I haven't looked at Fragrantica yet, as I said, I'll put it up in the editing. I think a lot of people will like. I had my fiance try this one time, and she said that it smelled fantastic, but definitely, as I said, a suit and tie fragrance. Therefore, it's not gonna be the most versatile depending on what you're doing. But like if you saw a guy wearing boat shoes and some swim trunks and a tank top ready to go out on the, you know, on the water at the lake or something, it's gonna be out of place. But you do get a lot of like bergamot and tangerine right off the top with the first spray. Especially, I'm gonna say you get a lot of orange inflections and maybe a little bit of yuzu. And as it dries down, you do start getting a lot of cardamom and things like that. Very traditional dry down. But what's really good about this, with it being a intense variation of a fragrance, this will have an incredibly good life to it. You put it on, and it will typically with intense fragrances, it will last several hours. Typically with intense fragrances, it's usually an updated version of an original fragrance, but with added things to make it last longer, project longer, or it's how it says, it makes it more intense to the senses. And I'm gonna say this longevity, after I've worn it for a little while, I've put this on, and it's lasted probably a good 5 hours, which is good for me, because my skin absorbs fragrances absurdly quick. It's an absolute curse, but it's the truth. But this lasted 5 hours on my skin before it really just started to become unnoticeable, which is honestly fantastic again for me. But for the average user, say if you have an oilier type skin, you're gonna have a very high success rate with this one because of how strong and how much it sticks around. This is very much going to be one of those put 3 to 5 squirts on and come back later if you need more. Don't just plow and just keep spraying on thinking you're gonna smell longer and stronger, because you will already have that factor with this one. Trust me. Put it on, you will smell strong to begin with. And what's really nice about this is that honestly, especially for a formal smell, it really does have a very calming sense to it. To me, this is it almost has like an incense type smell to it that just calms you down. I know a lot of people put fragrances on before they go to bed to unwind. Example, I know one YouTuber uses Versace the Dreamer to calm down, and one uses Silver Mountain Water type fragrance in order to calm down. Whereas this, and I love Versace the Dreamer, that's in my collection. I would say this is borderline the most calming on my list now. It's just so peaceful smelling. As I said, just imagine walking into some place that has incense, like a yoga parlor, and you just instantly get relaxed. That type of incense, almost designed for a male, with this obviously being a men's fragrance, is heavy in the incense. It's just relaxing. I know I'm going on and on about it, but that's the end story. It is relaxing. If I had to use one word to describe this fragrance, it would be suave. Suave and debonair, if I wanted to use two. Suave, debonair. And you will be finding this at a pretty good discounted price. You can find these sometimes in TJ Maxx's and discounted stores for that $30 range, approximately. And I'm gonna say on most places you can find this for about $30 to begin with. I know you can find this in the $50 to $70 range depending on what size you get. Again, this is the 4.2 ounce. But I do know you can find this $30 at a TJ Maxx or a discount store, rack store, or online such as fragrancenet.com, which I will put up here so you can see the proof that this is a very affordable fragrance. I usually always say where do I see this being worn. As I said, this is definitely a suit and tie type fragrance, or at least a very formal occasion. So as I said before in a past example, if you're going out on the lake, this may smell out of place or too strong, especially in the summer air, whereas this will definitely cut through the winter air perfectly. This is a very formal fragrance. And would I buy this again? I'm gonna say I probably would, actually. If I were to, customize a fragrance to smell like when I wear a suit, I would wear this. Now granted, whenever I wear suits, I typically wear Jimmy Choo Man, and that's because that's my signature scent and it works well with me and it smells very mature and formal in its own self. But Jimmy Choo Man is very versatile to begin with, so if I wanted something that was custom made and tailored to be for a formal event, I do feel as if this would fit perfectly. And that's my review. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like this, make sure you do like and subscribe down below. And if you like this review, I will even put my other reviews up top somewhere about right there. Check them out later. Check them out now. Completely up to you. And I'll see you next time.